I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, it's Saturday, so time for one of my motivational blogs, the mental mindset you need to have for success. This one I'm going to try and keep fairly short here. I'm going to call this one, I want you to succeed. And if you've been a long-term viewer of my blog here or read my book, that's why I do this. It's a pay it forward thing for me. I love doing these blogs, kind of imparting some of the stuff I've learned over the last 30, 35 years. I've been fortunate enough to have some incredible mentors in my life. And one of the things that a lot of them said to me is that, I'll help you but once you get to a certain success level, you should try and pay it back, pay it forward. And they were right. I started this blog 10 years ago. I enjoy doing the blog, giving you my opinions and some of the stuff that I've learned in hopes that you guys can take some of it. And I know lots of you have, because I get so many incredible letters and text messages and emails from people saying, thanking me for the blog and the information and the book and everything else. So thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoy doing it. That's the thing. It's fun for me. So this one I'm going to call, I want you to succeed. I try and give you guys the tools every week here to try and navigate your, buying a home, the importance of just buying and holding good quality assets. Vancouver real estate, tune out a lot of the noise, the short-term noise, because it's not going to get you anywhere. Focus on the things you have control over. Buy that house, enjoy it, pay down the mortgage. It certainly beats renting. The pride of ownership and the security that home ownership will give you. On the retirement side, get your money working for you. There's not enough working hours in the day to retire. And there's definitely not enough working hours in the day to have any type of good retirement. Good retirement meaning that you can maybe retire early, or even retire and travel, go down south for the winters, be able to eat out and drive a decent car and all that good stuff, and not have to worry about running out of money. That's the biggest stress people have, is financial stress. To eliminate that. And you can do it. It's not as hard as people think, but you have to start early, and you've got to get your money working for you. Putting it in a bank account or a term deposit or a GIC or a bond is not going to get you there. Those are safe, fixed interest rate investments. They're meant to preserve money, even though they're not even doing that. You're losing ground to inflation. They're okay for an emergency fund, but that's it. You have to get your money working for you. The best two places for that are going to be real estate and through good, high-quality equities. Most of which, for me anyways, and for you guys too, should maybe be, companies that pay you a nice dividend every quarter and have a long history of increasing the dividend. I've done lots of blogs on it, and I talk about it a lot in my book. There's that old saying, time is on your side. And I often see people will say, to young people in their 20s, mid-20s, hey, no hurry, time is on your side. Well, it is and it isn't. When it comes to investing or buying a home, time is not on your side. It's not. We've all seen those, charts and research papers on the stock market of, the guy that, starts investing at age 20, putting away $100 a month will get X amount at age 70, compared to the guy who just waits 10 years later to age 30. And just by waiting 10 years to put in that same amount of money, it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's the same thing with buying your principal residence. Buy it sooner rather than later. But it's not easy in a city like Vancouver. It's not easy in a lot of cities. I just got back from Los Angeles. It was my first trip out of Canada since COVID. I went down for 8 days. I've got family in Orange County, Newport Beach area. But I spent a little time in Hollywood, Santa Monica, and then down in Orange County. And, Los Angeles is the same as Vancouver in a lot of ways. It is an incredibly expensive real estate market. It might even be worse than our market here. A lot of people think Vancouver's an anomaly. High real estate costs, not a lot of inventory, bidding wars. Well, that's going on in dozens of U.S. cities right now, and in another dozen cities in Europe. Southern California is an incredibly expensive city and state to live in. Los Angeles, Orange County. It's the same thing there. Bidding wars, prices on homes going way over asking price, high property taxes. As a matter of fact, their property taxes make ours look cheap. And, you know, it's a tough market. The other thing, of course, with Southern California, just like Vancouver, it's a desirable city to live in. And people come from all over the rest of the United States, just like they do from the rest of Canada, to come to the West Coast. And it really kind of, Los Angeles kind of spits people out and chews them up and off they go. People are continuously coming into that city of LA or Southern California. Many of them have got dreams of, you know, being in Hollywood or whatever else, but, you know, very few of them make it. They start renting. Time isn't on their side. Next thing you know, they've been there 10 years. They've got nothing to show for all that rent. You know, Vancouver is similar in a lot of ways to that. It's a very tough city to crack. You have to come here. You've got to have a game plan here. You've got to get started early. You know, first step is to save for the down payment to get your first house, whether that's just a small little condo. It could be a $300,000 condo on SkyTrain in Richmond or New Westminster. That's where you want to start. Get a foothold. Now you're in the market. You're riding it up as it goes up. But the important thing is that $2,000 that you were paying for rent is now going to a mortgage payment, of which $1,500 is going straight off the principal. So you're creating equity there. Plus, over the long term, you'll get equity on the capital gains as the property goes up, which it will. Not every year. Could go down for the next couple of years, tread water. But in 10 years, that $300,000 studio in New Westminster is going to be worth more than $300,000. I can guarantee that to you. So, but time is not on your side, and you've really got to get a handle on this. You've got to make the sacrifices. There's a lot of you, I see the comments, and I've done many blogs on how did you get the down payment for your first place. They'll all tell you the same story. Now, for sure, some get help from mom and dad. I get a little bit of that, but the vast majority of my buyers have done it on their own. They're now in a fairly good career. They're in tech, so they're making six figures. But even when you're making six figures, it's going to take you 2, 3, 4 years to save that $80,000, $90,000. It's not easy, and you have to make the sacrifices. A lot of them will tell me they stopped eating out, or at least maybe as a treat once a month. You know, you're not going to Canucks games. You're not buying a fancy car. You're not going out to the bars and drinking. You have to make the sacrifices. I did when I first started. And those are the ones that cut through the pack. It's the same thing in Los Angeles. I was talking with some friends down there. You know, it's very similar. These people, they come, they last 2 or 3 years in LA, can't cut it, and they go back to Milwaukee. It's the same thing in Vancouver. It's a tough city. It's been discovered. It's one of the most desirable cities. Well, it's the most desirable city in Canada by far, and one of the most desirable cities in North America, if not the world. And that's not me saying that. That's various publications. We have one of the best lifestyles here, incredible weather, seawall, cosmopolitan city, great restaurants, and all that good stuff. But you pay for that. And that's never going to change. I've said this many times on my blog here. There's always those people that say, time's on your side, the correction's going to come, you know, whatever. The cavalry is on the way. I'm telling you that the cavalry is not on the way, and I've been saying this for 25 years, and I think it's held water. There will always be some little corrections, what I call those run-of-the-mill corrections in Vancouver real estate, just like there is in the stock market. We should get a couple of those run-of-the-mill corrections in the stock market every single year. And then every 5 years, we get something of 20% or more. And every 10 years, we can get a 30 to 35% correction. Vancouver real estate, if you look at the 50-year chart on it, isn't that severe. But a 5 to 10% correction every couple of years is pretty normal. It's par for the course. That's why you don't buy a condo or your first house if you might have to sell it in 2 years, because you could be underwater. But you have to recognize that, and real estate is a long-term purchase. Get in, start making the sacrifices to get that down payment, because as I said, once you've got the down payment, you're pre-qualified. That is an incredible achievement in your life to do that. It's not easy here, just like it's not easy in California or New York City or a dozen other cities that are highly desirable and expensive. But once you've done that, you'll have an incredible feeling of accomplishment. Believe me. I think all my clients feel the same way. It's like a safety blanket has been put on you, and a huge financial burden has been taken off your shoulders once you're an owner. But it's not going to be easy. You want to do it sooner rather than later. And that's why I give you guys the tools here on this blog and in my book to help you see the course. The final thing I'll just say too, and what trips most people up, is they get a lot of bad advice, or they listen to a lot of this mainstream media stuff that I tell people to start getting rid of in your life. You know, I don't have cable TV. I don't watch the news. I haven't for a long time because it's garbage. It's all fear-based. CNN should be banned. The constantly negative network. It's 90% negative. They're never going to have a story on the fundamentals and the benefits of home ownership and what that can do for you, the intangibles of home ownership. They're never going to have a story on investing and putting away $300 or $400 every month into the S&P 500 and what that'll do for you in 10 or 15 years. You're never going to see anything like that on the constantly negative network. It's all fear-based. It's going to be the stock market's headed for a correction. We're headed for a recession. We're going to get a fifth wave of COVID. Everyone's going to die. Tune all that stuff out because it's going to have zero impact on you. It's just meant to keep you in that fear cocoon is what they want to do there. And that's, in my opinion, the biggest thing that trips people up. Bad advice, listening to the wrong people, and not focusing on the long term. Focus on you. Getting, as I said hundreds of times here, making more money, getting better at your job or your career, learning new skills, reading, going to school, getting your money to work for you, paying yourself first, and ignore these economists and these predictors that are telling you that the stock market's going to crash and this is going to go down and you're crazy to be buying now. Because nobody knows what's going to happen in the short term, so why bother? But in the long term, that's where I make all my predictions. In the long term, your returns are going to be incredible, and you'll be far better off buying now as opposed to waiting and trying to time a market. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to all my new subscribers.